What in the domestic no kanojo is happening in Oshinoko? 2 weeks. Aqua takes a break for 2 weeks and left us with this and refuses to elaborate further, leaving us fans contemplating whether this is going down a route that we were all thinking about. And in the very next chapter, we still haven't got a clear answer. Well, at least not a direct one. As I was mentally preparing myself to read the manga and open the next chapter, this legendary line came glaring at my face. "Who let the writers cook?" was what I thought at the time until I saw that Aqua was holding an orange juice box. So, false alarm, right? Wrong. It gets progressively worse as I read through each panel. To say that Ruby was clingy is an understatement. She's basically throwing herself all over Aqua at this point. And why is Aqua letting this all happen? Is he secretly enjoying this? I mean, I would. And the worst part is the time gap from the transition from chapter 123 to the next one is huge. We were never shown what happened in between those scenes, and it's really up to the reader's imagination to interpret what happened during that gap. Did Aqua hurt her confession? Did he affirm her feelings? Or did something actually happen? That aside, how did we even got to this point? Well, backtracking for a bit, we all know that during the time that Sarina, past life Ruby, was hospitalized, she fell for the doctor Garo, past life Aqua. And that's because Gara stayed by Sarina's side in her final moments. That no matter how much pain she went through, Garo was always there. Fast forward to her being reincarnated as Ruby. She worked hard to be an idol just for the sake of fighting Garo, just for her to find out that he's actually dead, and then not actually. So of course, seeing a person that you thought that was dead after so long, it's normal for her to be intimate. And with all that said, I want to explore how Sarina or Ruby actually feels about Gara. Now, we are under the impression that Sarina has romantic feelings for Gara, even going as far as to ask Akane's opinion on dating people with large age gaps. However, let's look at this at a different perspective. Now, everything I say from here on are just my thoughts and wild guesses, so don't quote me on this. Ruby isn't really in love with Aqua, or rather, she thinks she's in love with him. Let's remember the fact that Sarina died when she was 9 years old, and the fact that her parents were not around when she was terminally ill. Only Goro to keep her company. Now, what does this have to do with her feelings? Well, these facts points out to the possibility that Ruby was attached to Aqua, not that she was in love with him. Sarina, who was a 9-year-old, does not really have a grasp on what real love is. As a child, she can't tell what attachment is from love. And this makes a little more sense because of the fact that her parents abandoned her, all alone suffering with her illness. And without someone to fulfill her emotional needs, she directed all these attachment to two things. I, who was not physically there, obviously, and Garo, who was actually by her side. So even though there were two things that Sarina directed her attention towards, her attachment to Garo is stronger because, like I said, he was physically there, and she died while being attached to Garo. So when she was reincarnated, she has her mind conditioned that her heart is set on for this person. And once a child believes something strongly throughout their childhood, it would be very hard to dispute their beliefs when they grow up. Let's take you, for example. You believed in Santa, didn't you? Believing that all those gifts are coming from the wholesome old man. And one night, you try to catch Santa, setting up those gifts only to find out that it was actually your parents. And as a child, you're in utter disbelief, but still believing that Santa might be real, because you were a child. And that's what I think is what's happening to Ruby. Her attachment to Goro is both caused by the absence of her family and the emotional needs that Goro provided her, deeply ingraining in her brain as she grows up as Ruby. That's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? Well, a little bit of mental gymnastics once in a while isn't gonna hurt anyone. All that to say that attachment isn't love. Therefore, it's not taboo. Right? Think I'm taking this a little too far. But let's say that Ruby does indeed have romantic feelings for Aqua, which is most likely the case. It's still far too early to say that it's taboo because we haven't seen Aqua returning Ruby's feelings. And I think Aqua isn't dumb enough not to notice that Ruby has the slightest of feelings for him. And we probably will never get an answer from Aqua because he's too focused in getting his revenge. So in both cases, no taboo took place. It was obvious, but I think the majority of us are secretly hoping for this ship, and as we got an inkling of hope, that's when we started to jump to conclusions. And some people are actually dropping the manga, and even avoiding the anime just cause they thought this taboo is actually taking place. Please don't. With the recent events in the manga, things are getting much more interesting. As for my opinion for this chapter, I'd say a little spice is always nice, you know? It was depressing to see Ruby. The light of the series looks so gloomy and sad. We already have Aqua for that role, and with how overworked Ruby is in the past chapters, it was really nice to see the light in her eyes return. Even if she gets touchy-touchy with Aqua, I mean, it's not that gross, right? It's just two siblings having a wholesome interaction, and hopefully it stays that way. Well, this was a wild ride. Can't wait for the next few chapters of the manga. I wonder what direction will Aqua take the manga to? Will we ever get our answers? Will Aqua leave Ruby all alone once he gets revenge? Or will this end like Romeo and Juliet? Only time will tell. And hey, if you made it this far, why don't you smash that subscribe button? Like how some of you wanted Aqua to smash Ruby. Anyways, that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.